The stars outside were quiet. Captain Elias Ward sat in the cockpit of his old ship, the Firelight. Drifting near the edge of the Zarthon Expanse, forgotten region of space filled with wrecks, pirates, and rumors of ancient battles. Most avoided this place, but Elias made a living here. He was a salvager. He searched broken ships and empty stations for anything worth selling that day. His scanners picked up a strange signal, a distress beacon, weak but steady. The signal came from a ship that wasn't on any map. Its design was alien, and its engines were dead. It floated like a ghost in space, silent and alone. Elias paused. Many wrecks were traps, left by pirates to lure in scavengers like him. But something about this signal felt different. It was old, honest, and sad. He adjusted his course and approached carefully. The alien ship was massive, shaped like a curved blade. It had taken heavy damage. Its hull was torn, and parts of it were scorched from past explosions. Elias used his docking gear to attach his ship and entered through an emergency hatch. Inside, everything was dark and cold. The walls were marked with symbols Elias didn't recognize. He walked slowly, flashlight in hand, breathing carefully through his suit. Then he heard a weak sound, like someone coughing. Elias turned a corner and froze. A tall alien figure lay slumped against the wall. He wore a battle-damaged armor suit covered in cracks and burn marks. His skin was dark gray, his eyes sharp gold. Blood thick in blues from wounds across his chest. The alien looked up. "Human," he said in a deep, slow voice. "You." Elias moved closer. "You're hurt. Let me help you." The alien raised a hand. "Too late for that. Listen to me." Elias knelt beside him, unsure what to do. "I am Torvak," the alien said, "General of the Karani. This ship was my flagship. We were betrayed, ambushed by our own." He coughed again, then reached to his side. A small metal case slid across the floor toward Elias. It was smooth silver, marked with glowing symbols that faded as he touched it. "This is for you, a gift, a burden." "Both." Elias blinked. "What is it?" "Riches, history, secrets. But more important, someone." Torvak pointed to a nearby door, half open. "My ... widow. She sleeps in stasis. Protect her. Take her where she will be safe, and do not leave her alone." Elias frowned. "Wait, why me? Why trust a human?" Torvak smiled faintly, "'Cause humans still care. I've seen it, even in the darkest corners of space." He took one final breath. His head fell back. General Torvak was gone. Silence filled the room. Elias sat there for a while, unsure of what had just happened. He looked at the metal case, then at the half-open door. Finally, he stood up. The stasis pod was smooth and oval-shaped, built into the wall of a private chamber. As Elias approached, it responded to his presence, slowly hissing open. Inside lay a woman. She was tall and elegant, her skin the same soft gray as Torvak, as her dark hair flowed like silk, and her face was calm, peaceful. She looked regal. Her eyes opened slowly, golden like Torvak's, but hers were colder, sharper. She sat up without a word, scanning the room. Her gaze landed on Elias. "You are not Karani," she said. "No," Elias replied. "I'm human. My name is Elias Ward. I found your ship. I'm sorry, but ... Torvak is gone." She looked down, eyes still for a long moment. She said nothing, but Elias could feel something shift in the air around her after a few minutes. She stood gracefully and stepped out of the pod. "I am Valari, widow of General Torvak. Where is the inheritance?" Elias held up the metal case. "He gave this to me. Said it was a gift and a burden. He told me to protect you." Valari raised one eyebrow. "He gave you the legacy." Elias nodded. She stared at him for a while, then turned her back. "Very well, then I will travel with you. But do not expect thanks. I am bound by duty, not emotion." Elias followed her as she walked back toward the docking hatch. "I didn't come for rewards. I only helped because someone needed it."
Valerie
paused. "That is a rare reason in these times." Back aboard the Firelight, Elias secured the metal case and watched as Valerie silently examined the small, worn ship. She touched nothing, but her eyes took in every detail. "Your ship is basic," she said. "It flies," Elias replied with a shrug. She sat in the corner of the cockpit, folding her hands in her lap. Her expression was unreadable. Elias looked at the case again. It had no lock, no buttons, just the faded glow of old symbols. Whatever was inside, it was more than just treasure. It felt heavy, even when untouched. Outside the window, the wreck of Torvak's warship drifted into the shadows, lost forever. Elias looked at Valari. "Where do you want to go?" She answered without hesitation. "Away from war, from politics. Somewhere no one will follow." Elias nodded. "I think I know a place." And with that, he turned the ship away from the wreck and toward the stars. But neither of them knew they were already being followed. The ship floated through deep space, far from any known star lanes. Inside the Firelight, Elias Ward sat in the pilot's chair, checking systems. His fingers moved quickly over the controls. The engines were holding together, though just barely. His old ship was never meant for long-distance journeys, especially not with valuable cargo and a mysterious alien guest on board. Behind him, Valari stood still near the observation window. She hadn't said much since they left the wreck. She wore a long cloak made from the soft, dark cloth she found in one of the storage rooms. Her gold eyes watched the stars without blinking. Elias glanced back. "You okay?" She didn't answer. At first, then, she said softly, "I am awake. But I do not know if I am alive." Elias didn't know what to say. He had seen many people lose family before. War, sickness, accidents. But none of them carried the same silence Valari carried. It wasn't just grief, it was something older and deeper. Like a mountain weighed down by time. "You want some food?" he offered. "It's not Karani cooking, but it won't poison you." She turned to him. "You think of feeding me?" Elias shrugged. "Well, yeah, you're on my ship. Not feeding. A guest would be rude." Larie's face softened for the first time. "Your kind is strange." Later, they sat at the small dining table in the back of the ship. Elias handed her a warm meal pack. Valari studied it carefully, then opened it. She sniffed the food, took a small bite, and nodded slowly. "It's not terrible," she said. "That's the highest praise I've ever gotten for my cooking," Elias said with a laugh. Valari looked up. "You joke even when surrounded by danger." "Danger's always there," Elias replied. "Might as well smile sometimes." They ate in silence for a while. Then she asked, "Why did you come to our ship? You could have left." "You didn't know us?" Elias leaned back in his chair. "That signal. It felt different. It wasn't just a normal beacon. It felt personal, like someone really needed help." Torvak was proud. He would not send that signal easily. Elias nodded. "He was strong, even when he was dying. We trusted me with that case, and with you." Valari stared at the metal box on the nearby shelf. "You do not know what that case truly holds. Then maybe you should tell me," Elias said gently. She stood and walked over to it. Her fingers traced the faded symbols. "This is the last piece of the Karani royal legacy. When our empire broke, our greatest families scattered their treasures across the stars. My husband gathered one of those treasures. He planned to protect it, not for power, but for peace." "Peace?" Elias asked. "Then why was your ship attacked because others want war?" "Some Karani clans believe we must rise again. They think the legacy should be used to build armies, not end them. Now they think I stole it," Elias said with a frown. Valari looked him in the eyes. "They will come. They always come." That night Elias checked the ship's logs. A strange code had appeared in the system, not a virus, but something else. It came from the case. He ran a scan and found a locked data message hiding in the ship's navigation. It was slowly unlocking, one piece at a time. When it finished, it revealed a new set of coordinates far beyond the known charts. He called Valari to the cockpit.
"Oh."
She looked at the screen, and her expression changed. "These are ancient star paths," she whispered. "Torvak found something. Or hid. Something you think we should go?" Elias asked. Yes, she said quietly, but not blindly. If others are watching, they may be waiting for us to move. Elias tapped the screen. I'll take the long way around. We'll move like shadows, she nodded. You are careful, that is good. 3 days later, Elias noticed something strange. His ship's damaged systems had begun repairing themselves. Wires that were torn were now working. Small drones were fixing broken lights. He had no memory of activating the repair bots. When he checked the drone logs, they showed instructions written in a different language Qurani code. He turned to Valerie. Was this you? I did nothing with my hands, she said. I whispered to the ship. You what? Valerie raised one hand, palm facing a screen. A soft hum passed through the room, and the console lit up. My people are bound to technology. We do not command machines. We ask them. Elias watched. With wide eyes, that's credible. You saved me, human. Ow. Elias smiled. Well, I'm not complaining. Later, while checking the engines, Elias noticed something else. They were being followed. A ship small, fast, and silent had been trailing them for the last 2 systems. It stayed just out of scanner range, but Elias knew the signs. Was a hunter. Someone had found them. He called Valerie again. They're here already, he said. Looks like one of the war clans. Valerie looked calm. Then we must move faster. They'll catch up soon. Not if we disappear, she said. Her eyes glowed faintly. I will speak to the legacy. Let it guide us. Elias didn't know what that meant, but he trusted her. She placed her hands on the metal case and closed her eyes. The ship hummed again. New coordinates lit up on the screen, shortcuts through broken space lanes, old wormholes, and hidden paths. Elias stared. Are these real? They are forgotten, she said, but real. He nodded and changed course as the firelight jumped into the shadows. The hunter lost its trail. For the first time in years, Elias didn't feel alone in space. He had someone beside him who could do things he couldn't, and somehow she was. Beginning to trust him too. But even with new paths ahead, danger still followed, and the secret inside that metal case had not fully awakened yet. The stars were brighter in this part of space, quiet and untouched by war. Elias Ward leaned over the ship's controls, eyes locked on the map glowing before him. They had followed the ancient star paths given by the legacy case. Valerie had guided him with calm precision, her golden eyes always focused, always alert. They were near the edge of a dead zone in old asteroid field. No one dared enter. Ships had vanished here, or so the rumors said. But Elias trusted the path. He had trusted worse things before, and lived. Valerie stood behind him, quiet as always. The treasure's near, she said. Treasure? Elias asked. I thought you said it was a legacy. It is both, she replied. To the Qurani, riches are not only gold and metal, knowledge is treasure, so is honor. Elias smirked. I wouldn't mind if some of that treasure turns out to be valuable parts. My ship needs more than honor to stay flying. They reached the location, an old mining station built into a hollow asteroid. The station looked abandoned. Dust covered its metal shell. No lights, no signals, just silence. Elias docked the ship carefully. The station's airlock was weak, but it opened after a few tries. Inside, they found long, empty halls filled with dust and floating wires. Ancient screens flickered for a moment when Valar passed. Bye. They recognize my blood, she said softly. They followed the halls to a sealed vault door. Symbols glowed along its surface, old Qurani script. Valerie placed her hand on the center. The door opened slowly with a heavy hiss. Inside was a room filled with strange lights and soft humming. Floating shelves held rare materials crystals that powered ships, memory cores from lost systems, metal blocks more valuable than most planets. Elias whistled. This ... is worth a fortune. It is more than that, Valerie said. These are pieces of our culture, our future. This is what Torvak protected. Elias walked slowly through the room, staring at the floating treasures. But something else caught his eye. Another case, larger than the first, locked with multiple layers of security. He pointed to it. That looks important. Valari approached. That is the core vault. It holds the last will of my husband and the truth of his mission. She looked at Elias. Help me open it. It took several hours. Valari spoke to the system in her own language, unlocking symbols layer by layer. Elias helped by repairing damaged wires and feeding power to old circuits. Finally, the core vault opened. Inside was a projection sphere. Valari touched it. A soft light filled the room, and then a full image of General Torvak appeared. He stood tall, calm, with pride. In his voice, to whoever opens this, the message began, "You now hold the last piece of the Qurani peace legacy. I hid this knowledge, not from enemies, but from those who would use it for war." He paused, eyes scanning the room, even in his memory. "My widow, Valarief, you hear this? Know that I loved you beyond words. And if a human is with you, then he is the one I trusted. He is brave, ... or foolish. Either way, protect each other." The message faded. Valari stood still, her eyes wet with tears she didn't let fall. Elias looked at her, unsure if he should speak. "You okay?" he asked gently. "He remembered me," she said. Even at the end, Elias nodded. He was a good man. They packed the most valuable and portable items into storage crates. Elias loaded them onto the firelight, securing each one carefully. Suddenly, the warning light blinked. Elias frowned and ran to the console. A ship had entered the system, small, fast, armed. "We've been found," he said, Vel. Ari stood beside him. "One of the Workland scouts." "How fast can you speak to the station again?" Elias asked, powering up the engines. "Not fast enough," she replied. "We must leave," Elias agreed. He launched the ship just as the enemy vessel began its approach. The other ship fired just once. A warning shot. "They're not attacking yet," Elias said. "They want to follow Valari Guest, to see where we take the legacy." Elias cursed under his breath. "Then we make them lose us." He steered the ship toward a nearby nebula thick with dust clouds and charged particles. It was dangerous to fly through, but it also scrambled scanners. "Hold on," he warned. The firelight dived into the nebula. Colors swirled outside red, purple, blue. Lightning crackled across empty space. The ship shook with each turn. Elias gritted his teeth, holding the controls tight. Valari sat beside him, calm but alert. "The other ship is close." "I know," Elias said. "I'm about to do something very stupid." He spun the ship into a sharp curve and powered down the main engines. For a moment, the ship drifted in silence. The pursuing ship zoomed past, them expecting them to flee in a straight line. Elias smiled. "Still works." He powered the engines again and shot off in the opposite direction. They made it out. No sign of the enemy ship, safe for now. Elias leaned back in his chair, breathing hard. "Can't keep doing this." Valari nodded. "Agreed. We must find a place to hide, somewhere the Worklands cannot reach." Elias turned to her. "I know a moon. It's quiet. Forgotten. I used it once when I was running from pirates." Valari looked thoughtful. "Then that is where we go." As they left the nebula behind, Elias looked at the cargo bay filled with alien artifacts, rare resources, and the core vault holding secrets from a fallen empire. But even with all that treasure, his eyes returned to Valari. She wasn't just an alien passenger anymore. She was part of the journey, and perhaps part of his future. The quiet moon was smaller than Elias remembered. It circled a dying star, far from the trade routes, surrounded by broken satellites and old listening posts. Nothing lived here. That was why he chose it. He landed the firelight in a wide crater covered in dust. The sky above was red and gold, filled with slow-moving clouds of gas. There was no wind, no sound, just silence. Inside the ship, Valari moved carefully. She had begun to wear lighter clothes, still dark, still formal, but no longer heavy armor or cloaks. Her movements had become more relaxed, her face softer. Elias noticed it. "You've changed," he said, handing her a drink. She took it, nodding. "I feel different, because we're safe." She looked out the window. No one is ever truly safe. But this place, ... it's quiet, still, even for a moment. Elias smiled. "It's worth something." They began unloading part of the legacy into a nearby cave one Elias had used in the past to hide from bounty hunters. Valerie helped, moving the crates with careful hands. Each item was packed with precision rare metals, memory scrolls, ancient tech. Elias opened one crate and found something strange, a small orb, silver and smooth. When he touched it, it lit up and showed a map of stars. And a name in Karani language? Valerie leaned over his shoulder. "That's a royal seal. It marks a safe path through the Orion Veil." Elias stared. "That's a dangerous sector." "Dangerous to some," she said, "but not to those who carry the seal." Elias placed the orb in his pack. "Might be useful someday." That night, they sat near a small heat lamp in the cave. Valerie prepared a Karani meal from a ration she brought. The scent filled the air, spicy and rich. Elias tasted it and nodded. "Much better than my cooking." Valerie almost smiled. "I agree," he laughed, then turned serious. "Can I ask you something?" She looked at him. "Yes." "What were you before all this? Before Torvak? Before the legacy?" She was quiet for a while. Then she said, "I was born into a high family. Trained in politics, in language, in duty. My marriage was not a choice. It was arranged to unite two powerful clans." "Did you love him?" Elias asked softly. She paused. "Torvak was kind, strong. He respected me more than most would. Over time, I respected him too. But love." She looked into the sky. "I do not know. Maybe I never learned how." Elias nodded slowly. "Maybe now's the time to find out." The next morning, Elias heard a noise. A soft beep. He rushed to the ship's console. A message had arrived, encrypted, marked urgent. It was from Duran, an old friend, a trader and pilot Elias had worked with years ago. "Elias, I heard rumors. You found something big. Meet me at Station 9. I can help you move it safely. And I owe you, remember." Elias read it twice. It felt real. He showed it to Valerie. "Can we trust him?" she asked. "He helped me once, long ago. He's a smuggler, but not a killer. If anyone can get us clean papers to move this stuff, it's him." Valerie's eyes narrowed. "Or he could be bait." "Yeah," Elias said. "That's possible too." Still, they decided to go. Station 9 floated above a burnt world. Was a free zone, no law, no empire. It's trade talk and trouble. Pirates, miners, and refugees all used it. Elias landed quietly. He left most of the crates hidden on the moon. He brought only one, and Valerie came with him. The station smelled of smoke and oil. Lights flickered. Music played from broken speakers. Aliens and humans walked shoulder to shoulder. They met Darren in a small bar. He was older, fatter, but his smile was the same. "Elias, you survived another year. That's a surprise." Elias grinned. "Same to you." Darren looked at Valerie. "And who's this lovely shadow?" Valerie gave a cold look. "I am not for sale, trader." Darren laughed nervously. "Of course not. Just being polite." They sat at a table. Elias showed Duran the case and whispered, "This is real. Karani legacy." Duran's eyes widened. "Stars above. You're sitting on history. I can get you 10 buyers tomorrow." "We don't want to sell," Elias said. "We want safety. And a way to move without getting hunted." Darren leaned in. "Quiet, people. Let me help." Elias hesitated. "Why help me, Duran?" Duran smiled. "Because you once helped me when I had nothing. This is my payback." Elias nodded. "All right, we trust you." Trust was a mistake. That night, as they prepared to leave, alarms rang through Station 9. Security alert. One unidentified alien and human carrying stolen Karani artifacts. Elias turned pale. "They reported us," Valari said coldly. Elias cursed. It was Darren, he sold us out. They rushed back toward the ship, chased by guards. Laser bolts flew past. The lights dimmed. Chaos erupted. Valari moved fast. She took cover, used her cloak to dodge the scanners, and guided Elias with silent hand signs. They reached the ship. Elias hit the controls. The engines roared. "Hang on," he shouted. The firelight blasted out of the docking bay, barely missing the station wall. As they escaped, Valerie looked back. "That man was not your friend." "No," Elias said bitterly. "It was just like everyone else." Back in orbit, Elias set course for the moon again. He sat in silence for a long time. Valerie sat across from him. "You gave your trust. That was not a mistake. Feels like one," he said. "Trust is a gift," she said. "Even if the other breaks it, the gift was still real." Elias looked at her. "You talk like someone who's learned the hard way." "I have," she said. "Many times." They shared silence again, but it was a quiet that felt less lonely now. They had been betrayed, but they still had each other, and the legacy was still theirs to protect. The calm of the quiet moon was shattered. Elias Ward looked up from the ship's console just as the radar blinked red. Multiple fast ships appeared on the sensor's WarClan vessels. Heavily armed and numerous, Valari stood beside him, her eyes sharp and steady. "They have found us," she said. "The WarClan seeks the legacy in me. They believe I hold the key to their power." Elias tightened his grip on the controls. "We can't fight that many," No, Valari agreed. "But we can try to outsmart them." Elias nodded. "What's the plan?" Valari moved to the communication console. "I will send a message, one they cannot ignore." She began typing in Karani script, sending a signal encoded with the official seal of the Karani Council, a symbol of peace and authority. Elias asked, "What are you sending? It's a message to all Karani factions? That I am free? This legacy is not a prize to be taken by force. That we seek peace, not war." Elias frowned. "Do you think they will listen?" Valeri's eyes glowed with quiet confidence. "It is the only way to stop bloodshed." Minutes later, the Warclan ships formed a blockade around the moon. Fighters launched, scanning the surface for signs of life. Elias started the engines. "We need to get off this rock before they find us." Valari shook her head. "No, we must stand here and show we are not afraid." Elias stared at her. "You want to fight?" "No, I want to send a message." She said firmly, "They expect fear and flight. We will give them strength and calm." She turned to a small terminal and activated a beacon, a hologram of Karani ancestors. Symbols of peace and power projected across the sky. The Warclan ships paused, there. Sensors confused by the display. Then came the voice over the universal channel. It was cold, deep, and commanding. "This is Warclan leader Karas. Valeri, widow of Torvak, you have no right to this legacy. Surrender now." Valari replied clearly, "I surrender to peace, not war. This legacy belongs to all Karani. It is a gift for unity, not control." Elias watched the transmission, his heart pounding. This was more than a fight, was the future of an entire people. The Warclan leader responded, "You are weak, Valari. You will bring ruin, maybe," she said. "But I will not bring war." Suddenly, small fighter ships darted down from the Warclan fleet. Moving toward the landing site, Elias and Valari hurried to the firelight. They prepared to escape, but Valari stopped him. "Wait." She activated a device from the Legacy Kritza. Powerful shield generator designed to protect the landing area. A shimmering dome rose around the ship and cave. "Let them come," she said. The fighters hit the shield and were pushed back, unable to land or attack directly. Elias smiled. "You're full of surprises." Valerie looked at him with respect. "You are braver than many I know, human." The Warclan leader was not pleased. The blockade tightened, and the threat grew. Elias and Valari sent the peace message again, broadcasting to neutral systems nearby. Traders, diplomats, and mercenaries listened. Some joined their cause. Some stayed silent, but the war clan grew angrier. One day, during a tense silence, Elias shared a thought. I don't know what happens next, but I know this humans survive because we never give up. We adapt, learn, and stand for what matters. Valerie nodded slowly. Your people are strong in ways we often forget. Together, they worked on defenses, shared stories, and prepared for the next move. Finally, the war clan leader sent a last warning. Leave the legacy. Leave Valari, or face destruction. Valari answered calmly. We will not flee. Is not a weapon. It is a promise. The war clan fired a warning shot, shaking the shield. Elias gripped the controls tightly. We're ready. As the war clan prepared to attack again, unexpected ships appeared on the horizon. Neutral forces. Responding to the peace message, the war clan hesitated. Unable to fight a larger alliance, the blockade broke. Elias and Valari watched as their attackers retreated. Into the dark, the danger was over. For now, Valari turned to Elias. You have saved me and our people. I owe you more than I can say. Elias shook his head. We saved each other. She smiled softly. Then maybe the future is not so uncertain. The firelight lifted from the moon, carrying its precious cargo, and two unlikely partners, ready to face whatever came next together. The Workland ships had retreated into the dark reaches of space, chased away by the arrival of neutral fleets. Their threat no longer hung heavy over the quiet moon where the firelight had waited. Elias Ward stood on the ship's small observation deck, watching the stars shimmer beyond the glass. Beside him, Valari was silent, her golden eyes reflecting the light of distant suns. We made it, Leah said quietly. Valari nodded. For now he looked at her and smiled. You kept your word. You stood strong. I don't think I could have done this without you. She turned toward him, a small smile touching her lips. You gave me something I never thought I would have, freedom. Elias was surprised. Freedom? Yes, she said softly. It's not just from enemies or war, but from the past. From chains I did not know I carried. He stepped closer. And what will you do now? Valari's gaze lifted to the stars again. I will choose my own path. Not one set by clans, by marriage, or by duty, but one made by me, Elias felt. A warmth rise inside? Then where does that path lead? She looked back at him. With you? The weeks that followed were quiet but full of meaning. They traveled to a small, peaceful rim world far from the war and politics of the core systems. There, they found a place to rest, to build the riches. The riches from the Qurani legacy helped them create a home, a simple settlement with strong walls, fresh water, and fields of green beneath two suns. Elias worked the land, learning to grow food and repair old machines. Larry taught him the language and customs of her people, and he shared stories of Earth and of humanity's struggles and triumphs. Together, they blended their worlds. One evening, under a sky filled with twin moons, Valari sat beside Elias at the edge of a small pond. The water reflected the stars like diamonds scattered on black silk. Do you regret following Torvak's last wish? Elias asked. Valari was quiet a moment. No, I never thought I would find hope in a human's heart. But I did. Elias reached for her hand. And I never thought I would find family among the stars. She smiled softly. We have both found something rare: trust, friendship, maybe even more. They sat together, feeling the calm of the night settle around them. But peace was never easy. News from the galaxy arrived slowly, carried by traders and travelers. Some Worklands still fought, others sought new alliances. The legacy of the Qurani still mattered. It was a symbol of hope and power. One day a message came from a distant system. It was from the Qurani Council itself. Valari read it aloud. The council recognizes the peace you and Elias have built. They offer safe passage and friendship. The legacy is no longer a secret. It belongs to all who wish for peace. Elias and Valari exchanged a look. This was the moment they had hoped for. They sent a reply, accepting the offer. It was a new beginning. Valari would represent her people, not as a widow bound by duty,
What?
but as a leader chosen by her own will. Elias would stand beside her, not as a protector, but as a partner. Together,
Oh.
they would build bridges between worlds. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Elias surprised Valerie with a simple gift, a small ring made from a rare metal found in the Qurani legacy. "It's not a promise," he said softly, "but a symbol of respect, trust, and something new." Valerie looked at it, then at Elias. She took his hand and slipped the ring onto her finger. "It means more than you know," she said. Years passed. Their home grew into a place of peace and learning. Travelers came from many systems to hear their story, to see how two very different beings could build a future together. Elias and Valerie never forgot the past, the dangers, the battles, the sacrifices. But they looked forward. The legacy was no longer just a treasure. It was a promise. A promise that even in the darkest places, hope could be found. And that sometimes the greatest gift was not riches or power, but trust.